Hi, this is Christopher Sparrow from itechgear.org, and I've got an unboxing today of the Pixel 6 Pro. All right. Um, this particular device is coming locked to T-Mobile. It is a device that I'm getting for work. I've got a very interesting deal. Though T-Mobile is currently running a promotion for the Pixel 6 Pro at $399 as of the filming of this unboxing. Um, for $399, with $149 down, and then you get bill credits for a period of 24 months, right? You're going to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of around $899 for total for the device, minus the $509 and change that you're going to get in bill credits over the course of 24 months. The device will cost you a grand total of $10.37 a month under this particular promotion, which I thought was, my God, I spend $10.37, walking around the house. It seems like a pretty much a no-brainer. Um, given that this particular Pixel 6 Pro is black. The only one that they had as part of the promotion was 128 gigabytes. As it is not going to be my daily driver, I am not necessarily worried about the size of the onboard storage. So that's okay. What I am more concerned about, though, is device size, device camera bump on the back as it goes the entire width of the actual device. And I am concerned about it. I have concerns about, since I am mostly iPhone, I am concerned about whether or not it's going to fit on any of the magnetic MagSafe chargers that I have. They will probably go ahead and charge. They may or may not necessarily stick magnetically to the MagSafe charger. We'll have to wait and see. To be honest, I have my doubts. I'm leaning towards no. But I'm going to go ahead and compare this particular device to a couple of different devices that I currently have here. Of course, we've got the iPhone 12 Pro Max. We'll compare it to it. I have got the Microsoft Surface Duo 1, which is currently running Android 11, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. And then I've got, of course, the Samsung Flip 3 5G. All right. With the Google Pixel line of devices, of course, you're always going to go ahead and get the latest, greatest version of Android. The Duo has just recently, this is an unlocked version, the device recently received its Android 11 update, putting it on par with the same level of Android that the Duo 2 runs. Now, both of those are going to go ahead, and at least it is rumored that they will likely get the Android 12L update. The Duo 2 likely for certain. I'm hoping that the Duo 1 does as well. But seeing as it took Microsoft well over a year to get Android 11 out for this little bad boy, which, by the way, makes a huge difference. It's a much more usable and a much more solid device. So this is actually a decent choice, especially at the price point you can find it at now. But we'll see with the Pixel 6 Pro, it's going to get the latest version. It's going to get Android 12. It's going to get Android 13, etc. going forward for at least a period of about 3 to 5 years. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look. Coming inside the box, I've got the T-Mobile SIM card that came with it, and I've got just the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, this one, as you can tell from the width of the box, there probably isn't a lot in here. And from what I understand, like Apple and all of the latest iPhones, starting with the iPhone 12, this particular device does not have a charging brick. It likely does have a cable, but no brick. All right, so let's go ahead, open it up, and see what we've got. I haven't had actually this thing open yet, so we'll see what happens. So you pull the top off the device. The package has got the device in and of itself, wrapped here a little bit. I'll pull all the stuff off of it and we'll do some size comparisons and whatnot. I do need to pull the case off of the 12 Pro Max because I think it's going to be the biggest likely device in terms of size comparatively. All right. So aside from the device, which comes in the box, you do get a couple of things, and this is pretty cool. You get a wonderful little SIM tool and everything else kind of packet near the top here. You've also got a USB-C to USB-C data transfer cable, as well as a USB-A to USB-C adapter. What would have been a little more helpful is not the A to C, but a C to A, to be very, very honest. There's not a lot of folks that actually have too many USB-C ports, while they are becoming more and more available out on not only PCs, but USB hubs. It's more still the USB-A connectors that we're finding. So if you've got an extra USB-A to USB-C cable hanging around, you've got an adapter for it. It was nice of Google to include that, but it would have been better, I think, to have this the other way around and not necessarily USB-A in to USB-C out. All right, but you've got that, and that's all that's in the box. All right. Excuse me. So from a device perspective, it is razor thin. All right, it is razor thin, and it is a lot skinnier width-wise than I thought it was going to be. It is a little bit longer than the iPhone 12. I know it's about, and I'm going to go ahead. It is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of around an eighth of an inch longer than the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is the same size as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. From a device with screen width perspective, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but if you stick them side by side, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is in the back, is got a little bit of screen width on the Google 6 Pro. All right. They are about the same thickness. The Google Pixel 6 is rounded on every edge, all right, of the device, whereas the iPhone is squared off, which is the current trend back with Apple. They are squaring the edges off, making it a little bit easier to make certain that the device doesn't fall out of your hand. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pull the screen protector that it travels with off. All right, and we're going to put that back. Let's in the box. And camera and screen on the Pixel 6 Pro. All right, the screen is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's black here now, but there'll be some other screenshots that you'll see later on. But it is a 6.7 inch diagonal screen. That's a 170 millimeter display. It's got a 19.5 to 9 contrast ratio. It is QHD, which is 1440 by 3120. It is an LTPO OLED, and it has got 512 pixels per inch. It's got smooth display, which supports refresh rates up to 120 hertz. It is covered with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus for protective purposes. Not really going to go ahead and crack all that often unless you really are abusive to it. It's got an always on display with an at a glance and now playing support for the edges. It has got a high brightness mode. It has also got a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio, full HDR support, and 24-bit color support for a full 16 million colors on the display. All right. The display is absolutely gorgeous. It has got on the camera. Let's talk about the camera system, because this is really what a lot of folks are really going to go after this device for. When you look at the camera bump on this thing, it's formidable. All right, it's formidable, and it goes across the entire device. It's got a 50 megapixel Octa PD quad bare wide camera. It's got a 1.2 micrometer pixel width, all right, and a 1.85 f-stop aperture. All right, it's got an 82 degree field of view, as well as 1 to 1.31 inch image sensor size. All right, it's got a 48 megapixel telephoto camera with a 0.8 micrometer pixel width. All right, with a f-stop of 3.5. All right, it has got a 23.5 degree field of view on that particular lens. It has got a half inch image sensor on that particular sensor. It's got a 4x optical zoom, and it's also got super res zoom with telephoto up to 20x. All right, the front it's also got a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera with a 1.25 micrometer pixel width, with a f-stop of 2.2 on the aperture, 114 degrees field of view, and it's got lens correction. All right, it's got laser detect autofocus. It has got spectral and flicker sensors. It has got optical image stabilization, and it has got a fast camera launcher. The front-facing camera, hole punch on the front, 11.1 megapixels on the front-facing camera. It has got a 1.22 meter pixel width on that, with a 2.2 f-stop aperture. It has got fixed focus on that, but it has got a 94 degree ultra wide field of view. Okay, fabulous. So it's got all the good stuff on the camera and the screen. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. What does that cost, though, in terms of battery life? Let's get down to brass tacks. It's got 24 hours plus of battery life. All right, meaning that you can use it like you would normally expect to use this thing and really put it through its paces for a good 24 hours. All right, nice battery. All right, it's got up to 48 hours of battery life with extreme battery saver. The battery, it is a minimum of 4,905 milliamps, or typically you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of around 5,003 milliamps. All right, it supports fast charging, up to 50% charge within 30 minutes. It'll also go ahead and do that with a Google 30-watt USB-C charger, which of course is available separately. Isn't it always? It is Qi certified, meaning that your standard wireless chargers, put it on top of that wireless charger, it's going to go ahead and take a charge. It also supports fast wireless charging. And over and above that, it will do battery share, meaning that you can go ahead and lay another phone down across the back of this thing, and that phone will charge from this battery, which I think is pretty cool. Camera and video features. What does this thing have? I mean, this thing comes packed with some really nice still camera features: magic eraser, motion mode, real tone, face unblur, panorama, manual white balance, night sight, which is low light photography. It's supposed to be very, very good with this. We're going to test that out. Portrait mode, portrait light, super res zoom, motion autofocus, and live HDR plus. All right, from a video perspective, this thing is really sweet. The rear camera does 4K video at 30 and 60 frames per second. All right, it's got a 1080p video mode that will also go ahead and do 1080p video at 30 and 60 frames a second. All right, the front facing camera will do 4K video, but only at 30 frames per second. All right, it will do 1080p at either 30 or 60 frames per second on the front. It's got cinematic pan. It's got slow motion video support up to 240 frames per second. It will do a 4K time lapse with stabilization. It will do astrophotography time lapse pointed at the sky in a clear night. It will go ahead and do the circular star thing, which is totally awesome. It will do optic image stabilization. It'll do fused video stabilization, 4K cinematic pan with video stabilization, 4K locked video stabilization. All right, digital zoom up to 20x on the video. It will support HVEC, which is H.265, and AVC, which is H.264. This is a formidable camera, and if you are interested in taking a look at what it can do, if your mobile device must be your camera of choice, the Google 6 Pro could be it. Yeah, okay. So how does the damn thing actually function? I mean, what drives this little bad boy? What goes ahead and actually makes this thing worthwhile? How about 12 gigabytes of RAM? All right. LPD DDR5 RAM. All right. This particular one has 128 gigabytes of storage. That I'm not necessarily concerned about, simply because, it's not going to be my daily driver, at least not right now. I'm very firmly invested in the Apple ecosystem, Apple Watch, iPhone 12 Pro Max, Macintosh with 3 displays, 2 Thunderbolt displays. I'm Mac, all right. But man, this thing has got it's got the chops to go ahead and carry it through, especially with the new Google Tensor processor and the Titan M2 security coprocessor. So this thing is going to be the kind of device that's going to be secure, it's going to be fast, and it's going to get you through the tough processing things that you would need to do on your smartphone. Gaming, I'm certain, going to be a wonderful experience. Okay. All that's all nice, wonderful, and good. But let's talk connectivity. All right. If it can't get you where you need to go, then there's no way that this device is for you. Thankfully, though, the Google Pixel 6 Pro has Wi-Fi 6E, which is 802.11ax. All right. It supports 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, as well as 6 gigahertz, HE160, and MIMO. All right. It's got Bluetooth 5.2 with dual antennas for enhanced quality and connection, which would be about time, because if there's one thing that really sucks, it's Bluetooth connectivity. Bluetooth 5.2 is going to be a little bit better with the dual antennas. It's going to hold on to the devices that you've got laying around, whether that is a watch or a radio or a speaker or whatever, and it's going to keep that connection. All right. It does have an ultra wideband chip for accurate ranging and spatial orientation, meaning no matter where it's at, it's going to stay connected. All right. It does support NFC for payments. It's got Google Cast. It's got dual band GNSS. It's got for GPS. It's got GPS, GLONASS, Galileo, QZSS, and Baidu. All right. Fabulous on the connectivity and the location stuff. But let's get down to brass tacks from a cellular perspective. What do it do? All right. The Google Pixel 6 Pro supports 5G sub-gigahertz model GLUOG, as well as 5G millimeter wave. All right. Also sub 6 gigahertz, and that's model G8OU. From a non-millimeter wave perspective, it will support GSM and Edge, quad band, 850, 900, 1800, and 1900 megahertz. It will also support UMTS and HSPA plus, as well as HSDPA bands 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8 and 19, a slew of LTE bands, and a slew of 5G sub-6 bands. It also supports an eSIM. All right. On the millimeter wave side, it will also support GSM and Edge, same 4 bands. It will also support UMTS, HSPA Plus, and HSDPA bands, same bands. All right. Same LTE bands, same 5G sub 6 bands. From a millimeter wave band, you're talking N257, 258, 260, and 261. And it will also support an eSIM. It's got a micro SIM slot as well as an eSIM. So no matter what you do, 2 numbers, this is the phone for you. Okay. Let's get down to brass tacks. Enough with the merriment and the specs, the spec reading and all that other good stuff. Is this the device for you? That's going to depend on a couple of things. All right. One, it's going to depend on how deeply you are ingrained in the ecosystem that you are in. If you're an Apple and an iPhone, maybe not. All right. It's going to depend on how easily you can get in and out of your particular ecosystem, where your apps are, where your photos are, and how easily you can get back and forth. Now, there are utilities for that stuff. I get it. All right. But how much of a hassle is it going to be? And is the end going to justify the means to get there? Potentially. All right. This is an awesome device. The camera is by far outstanding. All right. And if you're looking for a camera and a video device that is going to be able to go ahead and take you into the future for a while, the Google 6 Pro may actually be the device for you. All right. Especially if you're an Android. Man, if you're coming from a Google Pixel 3, 4, or 5 series device, this is an amazing device. From a spec perspective and from a performance perspective, it's going to be difficult to beat. All right. On the T-Mobile network with the 5G millimeter wave, it's going to be difficult to beat the speeds that are here. Now, I've got Verizon on my iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I have been able to clock on 5G ultra wideband 1.2 gigahertz down and 34 megabits up. We're going to put that to the test here with the T-Mobile network and see where it stands. Interestingly enough, Larry McJunkin from the iTech Gear Weekly crew has also gotten a Google 6 Pro. We'll see how that goes, and there's definitely going to be some dueling Pixel 6 Pro action on the site, on the podcast, as well as between he and I, because he and I go way back. Stick around. This is Christopher Spera from itechgear.org with the Google Pixel 6